Hey guys, so today we're going to be looking at the differences between primary and foreign key and what exactly they are. So here we go. Okay, so today we're going to be looking at primary key and foreign key, and we're going to be using the university table, the university database as an example again. So here so first we're going to start off with primary key, and for that we're going to be looking at majors table, and in that major ID. So majors has two columns, and so this one has like major ID and major name. And in this table, major ID is the primary key. So primary key is basically a constraint that uniquely identifies each record in the table, and it needs to contain unique values and no nulls, which is why I've selected not nulls here. And a table can only have one primary key, and in the table, the primary key can consist of single or multiple columns. So here we have a single column as a primary key, and if we already have one, so a table can only have one primary key. So if I, for example, try to select this, then as you can see, it's not letting me make it like true. So basically, it can only have one primary key, which is why it's not allowing me to make the other column a primary key too. Although in some cases, you do need to have like multiple columns as a primary key if everything is the same in time. So then we have the foreign key, and here we're going to be looking at students. So students has 6 columns, and over here we have major ID, which is repeating. So the foreign key is basically a constraint that is used to prevent actions that would destroy links between tables. And it's a field or a collection of fields in one table that refers to the primary key in another table. So here we have this column, which is a foreign key in this table, and it refers to the primary key in the majors table. And the table with the primary key is called the reference or parent table, while the table with the foreign key is called the child table. So in this case, students would be the child table and majors would be the parent or reference table. And then the foreign key constraint also prevents invalid data from being inserted into the foreign key column because it has to be one of the values contained in the parent table. So major ID. So the foreign key constraint will basically stop like invalid data from being inserted into the major ID column because it needs to be like whatever values major ID has, it needs to be coming from the majors table since that's the parent table or the reference table. And not all of these, like name for example, that's not a foreign key in this case because it's like not a primary key in any of these 6 tick columns. And same with age, or I'm not so sure about total credits, but like for example, if you take name, so it's not a primary key in any of the other tables, and which makes it that even if we have name in, for example, like if we have name in enrollments or if we have name in courses, then it's not going to be a foreign key there because it's not a primary key anywhere to begin with. But on the other hand, if we have student ID in, for example, enrollments table, then it's going to be a foreign key over there. So name is not a foreign key anywhere, even if it is repeated. But in one table, if a column is a primary key, then in the other table, that column, if it's repeated, then it's going to be a foreign key. And the other one needs to have the foreign key constraint.